next 5 years are going to be an incredible time for us all. I think we've all seen the unbelievable tech acceleration of the last few years. And the big question on everyone's mind is, how will that change the size, shape, and skill sets we need? I think to answer the question around the size and the shape of the workforce, what our meta-analysis at Mercer has shown is that as we bring more AI into our workplaces, we will be able to pass on to the machines more of that transactional work. And in India, workers say 34% of their work today is mundane and repetitive. So great to reduce that. It will put more of a premium on expert skills. So our high-end engineering skills, cybersecurity skills will become more critical. But there'll be a massive premium, which will only grow over time, on relationship skills. Our ability to inspire customers, to inspire our workforce, to actively sell and work within a broader talent ecosystem. Our research shows that about 80% of all jobs will be impacted by AI, but only about 19% of them will have more than 50% of their tasks. And it's these roles, which we call sunset roles, that we need to focus on. We need to have intentional pathways from those sunset roles into those sunrise roles. But we have to keep an eye on the future, because although we might be recommending to our children today to focus on data science, AI analytics, prompt engineering, a lot of those skills will be done by machines and augment how we work. What's going to become more important in the future of work is having those skills to manage the different paradoxes we have, understanding our own culture, working with other cultures, being able to operate with inclusive leadership as we've got teams that are working asynchronously across cultural, digital, and temporal boundaries. And we'll need to have a broader mindset as we support the machines in understanding our business context and helping us accelerate. Bolstering corporate resilience, I think, has never been more important. This year, we saw the highest burnout statistics worldwide and locally. 82% of the workforce feel at risk of burnout in the next 18 months. And that's staggering. As we embrace the opportunities of AI to bolster productivity, as we ask our workers to upskill and reskill, if we don't tackle their workload and the triggers that are causing them to feel at risk of burnout, it will be a zero-sum game. So we have to redesign work with well-being as an outcome, so that we can not only create capacity for upskilling and reskilling, but also ensure that our jobs are sustainable. A few things that I think leading organizations are doing on that front that can make a difference is, firstly, when we do our strategic workforce planning, let's not just look at the demand coming on from outside the organization. Let's look at the extra demand on our capacity from our internal transformation projects. And we can't do that if each of HR or each of the businesses operate in silo. We have to have an enterprise view of the asks of our people. So that is number one. Secondly, we need to start pivoting our metrics away from activity, how many people upskilled, reskilled, took on new responsibilities, to more experience indicators. And as we do that, we will need to equip our managers with measures of who might be at risk of burnout, absenteeism, health and well-being benefits that are being taken down. We're living in a world of unbelievable data intelligence, but we will really thrive when we're using that to predict workers' well-being and to nudge them early to make better health, wealth, and career decisions. Well, aren't we living in a fantastic time where our youngest generation are more vocal than ever about DEI matters? They care about what is a good job. They ask me questions about what sustainability activities does Mercer do? And they are curious about pay equity, opportunity equity, and diversity at the top of the house. And I think this is really exciting because it keeps us on our toes. First off, if we want to make sure that we really are being representative, I think this is a wonderful time to relook at our employee resource groups and business resource groups. I was talking to a client just yesterday, and they were sharing with me that to make sure that they've got representative voice of the workforce that they have today, they've added on new business resource groups. And one of them is their gaming community. So they've created a space for their gaming community, and they have that as a cohort that they speak to. Another strategy that they have is they've said everyone can use whatever name they want in all of their HR systems, not their born name. And they've trained people on how to use pronouns across the organization. Some of this really makes a difference to having an inclusive workforce. But from an HR perspective, I think the most important data set we have is our internal labor flows. How many of each population join the organization at each level? How many exit at each level? And how many progress? Once you have that data, you can see if a particular gender population or ethnic background group is stagnating. You can see if you're not hiring enough people in, or you can see if certain populations are exiting early. That data is vital for tackling some of the underlying challenges that we have. Because let's be honest, we need all factions of our talent population today if we're going to ensure that our business thrives. And now, as we're being asked to do more with less, all eyes are on how do we ensure internal populations progress as opposed to hiring in fresh talent from the outside. And I think that's adding a real maturity to how we think about DEI in the talent agenda. Well, learning and innovation is the only way we are going to thrive in the future, both in terms of individuals, our businesses, and societies. So it is an imperative on all of us as leaders and HR professionals to be inspiring people to work different and to ready themselves for the future of work. When I look at some of our data today, I see a real shift in the strategies being deployed to keep our people employable. I have the privilege of doing Mercer's Global Talent Trends research since its inception. And every year I ask the question, how can you close your skills gaps? And it's been higher, 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 higher. Let's give the problem to talent acquisition. This year I've seen a massive step change, particularly here in India. This year, instead of hiring from the outside, the focus on reskilling and redeploying talent internally has shot up. And I see a real jump in maturity in the strategies for building a skills-powered organization. Whether it is the amount of roles that are being designated as enterprise roles, so they are fully flexible or flow-to-work models, the amount of internal gigs and marketplaces that have sprung up, or the amount of companies thinking about how can I bring in a pay-for-skills component to incentivize and reward upskilling. Because we know that we can't just train ourselves out of the situation we're in. When we've got 600 million people that are young workforce within India and 2 decades of growth ahead of us, we have to think beyond just learning and development in order to fire up the workforce of the future. That means we need to redesign work and we need to incentivize upskilling and reskilling at scale.